Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Sunday. We're already in a new week and we're in a new month. It's already October, family. It is already October. I hope everyone is doing well. Hope your Sunday is going well. Hopefully, you'll go somewhere today and have a good Sunday dinner. And all that good stuff. Before we jump into the topic, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe. Again, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscription bell. It really means a lot, guys. It does not cost you anything to join the Search for Uhuru family. Again, it does not cost you anything to join the Search for Uhuru family. Also, if you have not bought the documentary, again, if you have not bought the documentary In Search of Uhuru, make sure you go to insearchofuhuru.com. Again, I'm sorry, go to searchforuhuru.com. Go to searchforuhuru.com. Link is in the chat room. Link is on the screen. Make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary. Again, make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary. Tours. We are rolling to Sierra Leone. We are still rolling to Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd, November 20th. Shout out to Fitzgerald Stevens. Listen, Fitzgerald, you know what? Let me say this, Fitzgerald. Let me say this. Let me make this announcement first. Then we're going to address my brother, Fitzgerald Stevens, who's in the chat room. But we are rolling to Sierra Leone November 20th through December 3rd. Again, we are rolling to Sierra Leone November 20th through December 3rd for the citizenship ceremony. But listen, even if you're not eligible for citizenship, for Sierra Leonean citizenship, you are still more than welcome to join us. Again, even if you are not eligible for citizenship in Sierra Leone, you are still more than welcomed to join us. We would love to have you all in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is a beautiful country. So please go to Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, please go to Danfo, DANFO UloggersTV.Africa to learn more. Learn more about the upcoming trips for 2023 and all that good stuff. We will love to have you guys in Sierra Leone. So come and join us. And citizenship is available to those who qualify. As you can see right here, I have my beautiful green Sierra Leone passport. Again, I have my beautiful green Sierra Leone passport. So citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. So please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Let me address my brother from another mother, Fitzgerald Stevens, real quick. Listen. No, I'm in Atlanta. Let me address my brother Fitzgerald Stevens. Listen, you know what? I'm gonna admit, Fitzgerald, from viewing our game, UGA's game. But hold on, before I even go there, Fitzgerald, number one, okay, we are still the defending national champions, and we beat your Alabama Crimson Tide. So we are still the champions, Fitzgerald. Again, Fitzgerald, we are still the champions, Fitzgerald. Yes, we are. Here we go. Bam, bam. There we go. We are still the champions. So whatever. But let me say this, Fitzgerald. From our play, from last night, Alabama deserves to be number one. I was nervous. I'm not going to lie, Fitzgerald. I'm going to say this on camera. From watching our game last night, I was nervous. I knew we were going to pull it out and win, but I was still nervous. But y'all almost lost to Texas. And I'll say this. Missouri's a better football team than the University of Texas. Fitzgerald Stevens. Missouri is a better football team than the University of Texas, Fitzgerald Stevens. But listen, last night was a good game. It was a sloppy game. We still pulled it through. And if you guys are ranked, number one and we're number two, that's fine. Because I know at the end of the year, Fitzgerald Stevens. See, I call Fitzgerald by his full name. I don't just say Fitzgerald. I'm calling Fitzgerald Stevens. Because I need him to hear this. I need Fitzgerald Stevens to hear this. Come the end of the year, January 10th is when the national championship games usually played, because that is the night of the Voodoo Festival. Every national championship, I'm usually in Benin Republic for the Voodoo Festival. So Fitzgerald Stevens, come January 10th, we're still going to be number one, and we're going to repeat as champions, Fitzgerald. Again, we're still going to repeat as national champions, Fitzgerald Stevens. So I just want you to remember that, Fitzgerald. Again, Fitzgerald, I just want you to remember that, okay? You remember that, Fitzgerald. Mark my words. October 2nd, 2022, Dynasty Amir, the UGA alumni, is predicting that UGA is going to repeat as national champions. And I want my $100, Fitzgerald. You can cash at me. I don't care. Hell, you love Chick-fil-A so much, I'll take a $100 Chick-fil-A gift card. I don't care. So, Fitzgerald, you just run me my money January 10th. That's all you focus on. Well, it'll be January 11th in Benin. It'll be January 10th in the States. Fitzgerald Stevens, you just worry about running me my money, Fitzgerald. That's all you worried about. You just worry about running me my paper, Fitzgerald Stevens. That's all you worry about. Oh, I got time for all the other nonsense, Fitzgerald. Got me wild up. All right, let's get back on topic. See. Let's bring on our brother Terry from UloggersTV. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you for inviting me again.
No,
Oh,
all is well. All is well, brother. We're so happy that you could join us in this
um,
conversation. And first of all, Terry, introduce yourself.
okay. My name is Terry Ajayi. My contact is on the screen, UloggersTV@gmail.com. And my channel is UloggersTV on YouTube. It's a crypto related channel. And my username across the internet is Surpassing Google. My aim is to surpass Google. And to accomplish that, let me start by telling you quickly the meaning of surpassing Google. It's at the back, it's written at the back of the first no book in existence. So this is not a book, it's a no book, and it has been documented to complement the books. And the meaning of surpassing Google is there is a growing rarity in the great men industry. We fix this rarity, we surpass Google, removing all barriers to entry from everything good, that everything good may become available to every anyone, abating hand to mouthism and half humanism. So, in a bid to surpass Google, over the years, I've been formulating projects that will enable me to accomplish this. And the algorithms, ideals, every aspect of the project is set. It's just to launch it that is left. Uh, one of the projects will be surpassinggoogle.com, a search engine that will only rank a form of content that are created called Ulogs. A Ulog is neither a blog nor a vlog, but it's an African form of content where the letter U stands for you. It has its own dynamics, and that will form the basis for the search engine on surpassinggoogle.com. However, to emanate such content, I have to create a social media platform that is modeled to incite people to become uloggers or to ulog. And that will be hosted on ulogs.org. It will be a social media platform. All the content from that social media platform will be ranked on the search engine. Another thing I'll do is a programming language based on an African language. It's called MacroHard. And the final thing is a freelancing platform on everyanyone.us is going to disrupt the freelancing economy, allowing both experts and non-experts to participate in the gig economy. So that's surpassing Google for you. And that's the introduction.
Matera, we
I
appreciate
also
it.
know
So,
Yoruba language. So we
oh,
can speak a
Baoli,
bit of Yoruba. Mowa,
Baoli,
Mowa,
Shela,
Mowa
Shela,
come.
Shela Fenio.
Yes, I think that is Shea Alafia.
No
Alafia, I'm forgetting, but I understand it
worries,
very
no
well.
worries, no worries.
In
No,
fact, in recent times, I've mostly been
Koti
watching
Wada.
Yoruba. I've mostly been watching videos on YouTube in Yoruba. So yes,
Now, Terry, you're half Yoruba and half Philippine, correct?
yes.
So, Terry, so black people globally, we have picked up this habit of being consumers more than to consume more than we produce, right?
Yes.
Especially when it comes to tech. How can with the onset of Web 3, how can we change that? How can the diaspora, the African diaspora, shift from being consumers to being producers with the onset of Web 3 and crypto?
Okay. I wasn't prepared well enough for this, but I'll try to capture as much as possible. It's very deep. It's deeper than the book's cover or the resources you have on the internet cover. And that's why I'm documenting the notebooks. The notebooks is basically untold information. And most of the knowledge there is from my personal findings and, spiritual stuff. And it's from understanding Africa. I think that's the basis for even creating innovation that is limitless. Understanding Africa, and let me not be controversial, but let me say, particularly a country, Nigeria. I believe that understanding in my study of the world, I paid attention the most to three countries. One is Nigeria, the other is USA, and another country. And that gave me a grasping on the state of the world. And I had special insight about Nigeria because uh, I wasn't very influenced by the state of Nigeria. So my insight was unique, so uh, this topic is very deep, and I'll start by saying that I'll use innovation to tackle to tackle this question. So first off, when you look at most of the innovations in existence that are being celebrated today, especially by Africans, we all know that Africans, many of them, are inclined towards things created by the West. The narrative is that things created by the West is of quality. They see a Mark Zuckerberg or a Vitalik as a geek, and they become the hallmark to, standards. As such, um, there's always an inclination towards innovations created by people of the West. Now, that is not to say that there are not limitless innovations created by Africans, but generally there's an inclination towards those innovations created by the West. Now, let's look at Google, for example. One of the core measure of relevance of content, which is at the basis for how Google delivers content, ranks content, is popularity. Now, how does popularity come about? In the form of content that makes up Google, which is primarily a blog. Now, a blog has a certain perfection standard. A vlog has it as well, but let's focus on a blog. A blog has a certain perfection standard that becomes the standard of Africans, for example, when it comes to creating content. As such, when it comes to paraphrasing, for example, an African attempting to establish their facts are inclined to paraphrase or quote a Mark Zuckerberg or a Warren Buffett as opposed to a Dynast or a Terry. Now, if assuming Africans were to dominate the search engines as such, because of that paraphrasing that occurs, the same content stays relevant over time. Because, like I said, popularity is a factor. When me and Dynast decides to write content about technology, for example, and all we do is paraphrase or quote a Warren Buffett or a Mark Zuckerberg, there's a backlink there that gives their own content relevance and keep it popular in the search engines. Now, if assuming the approach to dominating the search engines, assuming we wanted to dominate the world tech-wise, by virtue of the search engines, we would have failed if we do not adjust that mentality of always paraphrasing or quoting existing material or creating with full confidence something that contains our identity, our ideal. Now, that is the structure of a blog. We talked of a blog as having a quality standard. So in Nigeria, for example, English is the hallmark of literacy. If you do not speak proper English, you are not literate. But when you look at, don't worry, everything will align itself. Okay, when you look at English and compare it to let me use an African language, Yoruba, and look at the technicalities of it, you'll instantly see that English is a cagey language. It's a gentle, manly, uh, uh, convenient language, and it was posed as such, according to me, and my having looked at it even spiritually and comparing it to a language like Yoruba, it was posed as such to keep humans within a premise. Humans, now I'm talking to Africans particularly, no longer, by adopting English, no longer are they as expressive as they once would have been. Now, you will not understand this unless you understand Yoruba. Yoruba, it, it doesn't have, I've not checked the facts, but from speaking Yoruba and understanding it, it doesn't have as many words as English, but is more expressive. That's why you hear even some Yoruba Afrobeat songs today. There are many words said there that are expression based. You cannot translate it. And on the basis of that expression, there is tapping into your spirit, there is spirituality, there is exertion, so that you have to, a thought process that you can just use two words in English to capture, you have to fully express it in Yoruba. Same thing applies to broken English. Broken English is a very spiritual type of English. It's not caged. You can be as expressive as possible within the premise of broken English. However, Africans are leaving those languages and adopting English. And this has been modeled as such in a bid to limit the African. And everything I'm mentioning here applies to the most complex of technologies today. We've recounted Google in a short case study, but recently, when I started to venture into Web3, there was a revelation of knowledge. Web3 has more knowledge than does have Web2. So even if you are attempting to research and stuff like that, I'll recommend that you start to venture into crypto and the Web3 space. Now, why is there revelation in Web3? Because it's blockchain based, and a blockchain is public in nature. So most of the information that was once hoarded or monopolized is now revealed by virtue of blockchain. Another reason why Web3 has more information than Web2, which is conventional internet, is the cryptocurrency incentive. Now, because there is a cryptocurrency, there is possibility to implement a reward structure by means of cryptocurrency. People are ready to reveal information. So nowadays, if you look at most Web3 applications, they are open source, even down to their code APIs. The reason is because they can afford to reveal this once hoarded information, because they can incorporate a cryptocurrency element and make money through that. So if you venture into Web3, your eyes are bound to be open. There are many things you will see, and that's what opened my eyes the most. So I ventured into Web3, having sought out freedom on the internet. So I'm into adjusting the world, surpassing Google. So over my years, in my evolution, I used to search the internet. I was expressive in my application of the internet. So I didn't allow myself to be caged, even in my search queries. I wasn't tied down by the standard of English or perfection that permeates the web as a whole, so that my search query were freeborn. As such, I was able to find blockchain, cryptocurrency without using or knowing the terminologies blockchain or cryptocurrency. Meaning, I sat on that search engine and was trying, different expressions of search queries based on my spirit, and I was able to find a social media platform that was built on a blockchain. Now, once I stepped on that social media platform, information began to be revealed. For once, I was able to rank content even on Google by posting on that social media platform. And that was the first. Before, when I was in Nigeria and all that, I used to want to, it baffles me that I cannot rank on the search engines. I'd sometimes when I used to blog, then I'll write my content and I'll have to pass it over to someone in USA for them to publish it from there. Perhaps it will have a chance at, ranking on the search engines and stuff like that. Anyway, I was able to rank on the search engines and go viral on on this social media platform that was decentralized, because implemented there was decentralized curation, and meaning that relevance of content on that platform was based on people voting on that content on the basis of their stake. Now, a lot was revealed there. An aspect of content that was not prominent prior became prominent, which is curation. When it comes to content today, what is prominent is content creation. However, content curation is not of prominence. And content curation is a very important part of even consumption. Okay, so now what am I saying in effect? What I'm saying is that innovation today is one of the major reasons why Africans have become consumers of the existing innovation, and it has been programmed as such. What they do is they give you tools of convenience in the name of innovation. By virtue of those tools, like we have established, the Africans are inclined towards those tools. You lose out on everything about your culture, your being, your identity, and give that away for convenience. They take all those things away from you by virtue of your interactions with those tools. They process it, study it, and use it to influence you forever, making you a recurrent customer. Now, I'll give you a scenario of how this works. We will not use Google this time, we will use Facebook. Facebook is a social media platform, of course. We will regard it as an innovation, and on the web, one of the biggest innovations in existence. Now, it is now what they do in modeling of most of these innovations is, at the outset, they are predictive of humans. So someone from Nigeria is bound to scam. Someone from Indonesia is bound to spam. Then they create the application in a way to curb your abilities. In the midst of that, they create a Boolean. Now, a Boolean is only two possibilities, off or on. That is the same language that is used to control computers, and they give it to you. So, for example, you see a post. For the most part, Facebook, I don't think they have a dislike, but most other social medias have it, or a downvote like Reddit, and yes. So they keep your essence within those two possibilities, a like or dislike. Now, you are a human, but even at the heights of your essence, if you are not conscious, you stay within that premise of a like or dislike. Even though in Africa, based on the ideals of Africa, there are many reactions to stimuli, and the ideals of a typical human, the essence, there are many reactions to a particular stimuli, let's say a hate comment, than a dislike or like. Now, on the basis of this, they can easily analyze you, capture you, because you are not as expressive in your interaction with these applications than a like or dislike. 90% of people using Facebook, for example, are just they'll just scroll, like, scroll, like. So convenience, they put you a button to check in And the typical African is always using that button, want to display, uh, they've adopted the standards of the West, where success is on the basis of money or no money. That's also a bullion. Governance is on the basis of vote or not vote. Meanwhile, there are other things capturable beyond those two possibilities. Morals is premised within good or bad, even by virtue of Western standards. Meanwhile, in Africa, there is more to morals than good or bad. So, on the basis of has become the basis of even the most complex of innovations today. And that is one of the tools that has been used to turn Africans in general into consumers. Now, for good reason, it's impossible to bash Africans for applying these tools within the premise that the likes of Facebook have allowed. The reason is because life in Africa is tough, which is, so now but there's a solution to this, which I'll talk about later when I tell you of my own approach to innovating innovations that are African centric or bound. Okay, so I believe that one of the tools used to turn humans into, or Africans especially, into consumers is convenience tools in the form of innovation. So I've used Facebook as an example, I've used Google as an example. Google, the typical use of Google is people are just bound to the first page of Google. They never transition to the next. Anyway, with all this data that they gather, they can continue to remove. So another major element of innovation today, besides the Boolean, is a model that continuously removes value from humans and distributes it to inanimate things. Now, how do you manage to effect that? Remove value from humans and distribute it to inanimate things. A typical example of that is, in terms of innovation, is Google. Today, 90% of humans are no longer exertive at all with their brain capacity or human virtues. If you ask them what does search for Uhuru mean, the next inclination is ask Google. A typical African would tell you ask Google. 90% of our brain is Google. We no longer want to exert, and that's where Ulog comes about, because I was thinking, how do you surpass Google really? You need to change the content dynamics, and content will allow you to reach billions of users. Now, what is the content dynamic? Is make people creating content that doesn't research or research existing material, created fresh per instance. So you want to create a meme, for example. A typical user today that wants to create a meme about tech is likely to research the image that features Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg and then put a text description on it. Meanwhile, if you're creating a meme as a Ulog, you will have to create the image afresh, likely feature yourself, and create the sentiment afresh per instance. As such, content can be dynamic instead of static. On Google, content has not really advanced as you may think. The same content that will be provided to you 10 years ago, let's say you type in the search query, how to earn money online, is the same that you will get today, either YouTubing, affiliate marketing, stuff like that. But I want a search engine in my case where you type in the word money and it's able to give you the address to the nearest ATM. Now, that's bizarre according to today's standards, but is a possibility where content are now, the content making up the search engine Surpassing Google is now based on ULogs, where you're allowed to be as expressive as possible. I'll give you case studies of mine. We will also touch on programming from the things I've seen. So, how did ULogs come about? For instance, I started out something on a decentralized social media platform leading up to the ULogs. So, I started a hashtag called untalented. Untalented. I just wanted revelations to come about, you know. And then I saw that from many people participated. The first publication I put of it, it had more than 1,000 comments. And when the tag started, I started it with a contest. Who are you? The topic was who are you? It had up to 2,000 people participating. It was obvious, and that was because of the dynamics of that innovation. We allowed for elements of so-called imperfection. Don't don't mind this. Don't think that the standards of imperfection today and illiteracy is incorrect. If you want to know this, just tackle the mind's eye of someone that is referred to as an agbero in Nigeria, but translate his Yoruba into English, and you'll be baffled at the gems you will find. But even by Nigerian standards, an agbero is an illiterate, and he cannot speak English, basically. So anyway, uh let's okay, let me not digress too much. Let me look at my outline here just a moment. Okay, so another aspect of innovation that now the reason that they make things a boolean, besides studying, besides caging, being predictive of people and curbing them, and then programming them and turning them into recurring clients, is yes, two extremities. Now, I say this not based on research. Most of what I say is based on my own depth and spirituality and insight, which I received over the course of years of, grind and self-sacrifice and stuff like that. So another thing that I see that happens is they create, the reason for those boolean is two extremities, so that they can sell products across each extremity. So they put good, bad, and they can sell products to each extremity. It's easier to put humans, to not only program humans, but keep humans as recurring clients by keeping them in two extremities. They will fight against each other, maybe like ADOS, and I mean, not fight, they will go sideways, and then products will sell to each extremity. But there's also another reason why they do that. Okay, no, I've forgotten that reason. But now, based on caging humans within that jurisdiction, not only can they program humans, they can understudy human behavior to high levels, down to your very spirit. So they give you a check-in button. They know that at 3 p.m. every day, you are going to check in Starbucks. Facebook knows that. And they know that for billions of people, because if you look at the back end of Facebook, where you run ads, you will see how much of humans that they know. Now, because they've got to know you, the likes of Google, in your Google Chrome, they put cookies there. And by virtue of those cookies, they can get to know you down to your spirit, because you use these tools, convenience tools, at the comfort of your homes, without being wary of outsiders, and you are your true self. These days, I feel that Google even eavesdrop based on your audio. Very soon, they will reach.
Listen. I agree. I agree.
Yes.
I
If I
agree.
say cookies right
Because I
now,
know sometimes when I'm talking to somebody about a certain topic, all of a sudden, like an ad or
the
something will
ad
come
will
up.
come that is
Yeah,
related.
I agree too.
Yes. Now, if they can know you more than they know yourself, they will always dominate. You will always be a consumer. because they've come to know you more than you know yourself. They will become the standard. They can hold you accountable, because the reverse is not the case. You do not know anything of them, let alone know them more than they know themselves. So you cannot dominate them. As such, they become the producer and you stay the consumer. So now I'm using the way my approach to this is using innovation to answer the question of how can Africans become producers rather than consumers when it comes to creating innovation. And that's why I'm taking this route. Now, I'm not a programmer, for example. The first time I looked at a programming language, what prompted it? I was trying to build my projects. So, in order to have contributions for programmers, I made it open source, and I wrote a paper defining my project. I had uh, up to 10 programmers interested in the project. They just liked the vision, and they showed interest in contributing code. Now, in my case, I would write the algorithms and put them out there, everything about how I want the application to be. But I noticed that there was a limitation. Those programmers that are familiar with, let's say, the React framework, no, let's say Laravel or Python, and the framework of my code is React. Even though they were geniuses in Python and they had limitations, they could not contribute code to my project. So I was wondering, how can we overcome this, where it doesn't matter what programming language or framework you're familiar with and you can contribute code? And that's how I decided to delve into this programming field. And I'm going to create a project called MacroHard, which is the opposite of Microsoft. So I started to reorganize my algorithms, give them like a hierarchy where one task will think of the next task, and I turned them into micro tasks. And I experimented with that, a case study. Then I was able to get certain programmers based on the new type of system to contribute code irrespective of their programming language. So I started to look at coding and all that. And the first time I looked at code, even spiritually, I could see the limitations there. And the limitations is, I'll tell you where the limitations come from. And Africans should listen to this, because that will change your mindset about the complexity of many of these innovations that we revere. The moment you mention Vitalik or Mark Zuckerberg, a typical African is seeing a god. But I tell you, the most complex of innovation is limited by ideals of the West. And ideals of the West are limited by the things I mentioned earlier, like system of governance, the Boolean system where money is wealth is money or no money. Education is English or no English. Morals is good or bad. Those systems, it doesn't apply in Africa. I'll get to where I'm heading is that Africans should be dominating tech, because the ideals of the African system is favorable to that. Your ability to create the most profound innovations, innovations that are just irresistible, contagious. We'll get to that in the future, later on. So yes, when I looked at programming, I quickly saw the limitations. The predictive element was there. The attempting to cage human element was there. But there was also another element that was intriguing, which was competition. So I saw that some programming languages are complex for no reason. And the reason is not wanting React, the syntax of React, to be the same as a Python, just on the basis of competition and ideals and all that. So Anyway, I ended up creating the sorry the on those basis, I ended up creating macro hard. I saw room for innovation, because in my case as an African, I have the capacity of transcending those barriers. Now, what is my point? My point is, irrespective of the complexity of the innovation, it's limited by those ideals that we've mentioned. Now, what is the biggest evidence of that is blockchain technology. Now, when blockchain came about, it was something to revere in reality. You know, the freedom that it brought about, the possibilities is genius. But when you look at it critically, it was limited. It had the same limitations as most of the revered technologies in existence. And I noticed it. There's a replication of the same popular ideals on blockchain all over again. So suddenly, the dynamics of cryptocurrency became bulls or bears. Nothing more. So either up or down. You know, governance on blockchain, there is the most unique governance technology and all that. But suddenly it was based on bulls or bears. Once I used to be on a platform called Steemit. Per post, I could earn $100 to $200 on that platform. Now, because of ideals, there was something in the governance of that innovation where, again, it was based on vote or on vote. Now, what happened is I wasn't a party to the split of the blockchain was based on reactionary nature, which is typical of innovators from the West. You know, once there is any shaky event, they quickly react. And I foresaw that coming. I knew that a split was going to happen, and it did happen, irrespective of how hardcore the innovation was. The blockchain was overtaken because certain people connived, a certain exchange used the funds of all its users to participate in governance and overtook the chain. As an African, I knew that that was a possibility because I saw the limitation in the governance system. And what is the limitation? However complex the consensus was, it was based on a vote or on vote. Now, when you vote for a particular, let's say a particular party, there are many reasons for a vote besides supporting that party's ideal. An African knows that. I may vote on Dynast not necessarily because I support his ideal, but maybe because my spirit says, okay, vote for Dynast today. Or maybe this vote may give Dynast a timely inspiration and I decide to vote on him. Or maybe there's a bunch of reasons why I may want to vote on Dynast, not necessarily because I'm supporting his government. But to that blockchain, the only possibilities are two. You voted because you support his ideals, his government, or you do not vote because you don't support his government. Now, in my case, the reason I voted on either blockchain was because I wanted to break free. I was an innovator. I was formulating my innovation by understudying these platforms, and I noticed that for me to be able to build freely, I needed to break free from either platform, even though I was earning $200 on that platform for free. I knew that if I voted on the other platform, the people that were supporting me on this platform will assume that I'm supporting the other platform and stop voting on me. And that is what happened. So I lost that potential, but I did it for good reason. I did it because I wanted to innovate with all freedom. You know, I didn't want to innovate on Steemit, for example, and then start getting downvotes from Hive because they feel that I'm supporting Steam instead of supporting Hive. So my point is, there are all those core limitations are there, irrespective of the level of tech. You can predict that governance is going to be based on two possibilities, two reactions to stimuli, vote or unvote. Now, this is at the basis for innovation by Africans, for them to create innovation that is great. Now, that's another thing. Greatness. Let me, Dynast, if I tell you that very soon innovation will reach its peak, the only thing that will be missing, that will be left to seek, is greatness. That's my prediction. And the world itself will begin to be inclined towards Africa in search of greatness. There are many innovations in existence. It doesn't mean they are great. Greatness is in Africa, the nooks and cranny, the dirt roads of Africa. That's where greatness is. Innovation is reaching its peak because when I look at innovation, after AI, after right now, you'll see AIs popping up. After AI, maybe they will attempt to do human clones. After that, I don't see where innovation is going beyond that. I feel that there's a peak and there will be a disinterest. People will start to feel that the only thing left to seek is greatness, and there will be an inclination towards Africa to seek it. It's not a coincidence that there is already an inclination towards Africa, because over time, you will become tired, it will become boring, these convenience tools, and you will form an inclination for even the dirt roads of Africa. Now, that is also the basis for why Africans are consumers, because again, they've adopted the standards of glory according to the West. A typical African will not show you his backyard. And that's why I like Dynast and his approach to Africa, based on the standards of the West. Basically, the glamorous tall buildings is where is a typical African cannot reveal the great stories of his upbringing. My story growing up in Africa can adjust the lives of many, just revealing it. But typically, if I was to reveal it, I'll get a bashing even from my sisters. Oh, that you shame the family. How can you say those things? But that is understandable. It's on the basis of having adopted the anyway. Ulogs is going to solve that. So what I was saying is that now Africans, one of the reasons why we are consumers is because we easily adopt things of the West. Nothing wrong with adopting it. I use Facebook as well. However, you cannot predict my interaction with Facebook, even though I'm within the premise that Facebook allows. So you cannot. For example, let me give you an example. For example, there was a time that I used to vote on 2,000 people, different people, a week. Now, because when I voted on them, it gave them money or rewards. But in the process of voting, even though there was that reward distribution element that can influence me, I did not stay captured by it. So in the course of voting, I even applied spirituality. I want to pay attention to the innermost person of the person behind that publication before I vote. I would also factor in a timeliness factor. Maybe this vote is timely today more than tomorrow and will do more good, and there was an intention. It was not just the typical action of voting and unvoting. So there's one statement, it's even in my notebook, and it says that when you are too predictable, who are you? So one reason that we are consumers is because even though we came up from a system of things that enables you to be expressive, not to be predictable. We have adopted all the ideals of the West by virtue of the convenience tools we use and innovations they provide us, and we have become too predictable. So, unlike ages past, maybe one generation ago, today, you know that a typical African, if you say, what is search for Uhuru, they will say Google. You know that if you bring in a small reward distribution system and say, and introduce it to them, they will dump all their ideals and system of things to get that money for the next data for subscription. So, and that is all boiling down to convenience, things of luxury, that they've adopted and all that. So now it comes down to how can we adjust the paradigms now and start to shift away from consumers to producers. And the way to go about that is not very hard. And I'm saying this based on my own case studies, because I've spent years understudying hundreds of innovations in reality. In Web3, there are tons of innovations per day. So in the past, when I was using Web2 the most, I would go on App Store, and I know what apps there are for different industries. That is basically researching it, testing them out. So one thing is I try to exhaust my resources, and so if it's Google, I will not only use it on the first page, all the nooks and crannies of Google I would have navigated. So I've come across so many innovations across the internet, and I see the solution. The solution is, first of all, reach. We need to reach people. So you need to remove the barrier of reaching people. To remove that barrier, you need to surpass Google. Innovation is not the most prominent thing, it's reach. How do you reach billions of people? A typical innovation today, their target from the outset is to reach millions of people. And that's how the tech is formulated. Even Facebook, I doubt that they plan to reach billions, because you will notice that over time they've kept buying the demography. So when Instagram gathers a billion people, they buy Instagram. When WhatsApp gathers a billion people, they buy WhatsApp. So one thing is reach. Now, how do you reach people? First of all, even if you have the best innovation and you cannot put it in the hands of Africans, for example, you won't accomplish much. So that's one thing to tackle. And another thing to tackle is intention when you formulate your innovation. So there's something missing from most innovations, and it's a mentality adjuster. Most people just create innovation for the sake of creating convenience for others or creating convenience for themselves. Some, they create innovation to tap into a measure of freedom. That's where crypto came about. So many of the people from the West are getting disgruntled by the state of USA with respect to freedom, and they want to create a tool to attain a measure of freedom. That's how blockchain and cryptocurrency came about. But many of these innovations don't have that African element, one of which I call a mentality adjuster. So in my look at blockchain, I said in one of my quotes that blockchain is a more powerful tool as a mentality adjuster than as a reward distributor. Today, blockchain has become more of a reward distributor, or to implement governance, than a mentality adjuster. So that's one thing we can incorporate into our innovation that will make it profound and fit for the evolution of Africans. And that is mentality adjustment. So the intention for users of a particular aspect or element of your app, to incite them to adjust their mentality. So let's say you created a Facebook, you know, instead of, like me, for example, if I wanted to create a Facebook, instead of just the traditional like and dislike, I can put something there that will make an African a bit more expressive to declare the intention behind the like. For example, a box before the like. Even if you implemented something as simple as that, as, oh, why are you disliking? So that you can capture more of the essence of the African. Till date, I doubt that I've seen an innovation like that. And the thing is, if Africans were to build all over again, even though the surface of the application or innovation is African, the ideals of it is always of the West. All over again, they will replicate a blacklist. I've seen many Africans in my time on Steemit, trying to build, but you see them implementing all those blacklists all over again, and blacklisting people. And so the surface is basically African. This is an African platform, but the ideals of the platform is simply a replica of the Western innovation. So there's no uniqueness. And when there is no uniqueness, you cannot compete with the Western innovations on that basis. You have to undertake the dirt roads of Africa in the course of innovating to be able to stand alone. And there will be no choice for an adoption because you are your own identity. So a mentality adjuster, there are many ways to implement that, especially now that there is cryptocurrency. You can incite a particular action by dedicating a reward pool to that action. For example, Search for Uhuru. Let's say that I wanted a social media platform based on Search for Uhuru, but I wanted Africans to start seeking out those artifacts from Africa and, giving them prominence or limelight. And I dedicate a reward pool to that cause, so that people start creating content. I created a platform called Marlians. It's based for Nigeria, for Africa in general, starting with Nigeria. But when I did I tried to start it experimentally, and all the adoption was from the West, from abroad. Africans, of course, they prefer Mark Zuckerberg, so there needs to be, I need to adjust their mentality. Now, how do I adjust their mentality? In the tags, I wanted to make it just a simple platform, but the tags, imagine a tag where it's called My Agbada, for example. This is very simple. It's a very simple, but imagine a social media where one of the major tags there is My Agbada. And then I have a distribution pool dedicated to that tag where you simply post about your Agbada. Agbada is that Nigerian wear. I saw it recently in your coronation. You wore that white Agbada. Yeah, so that's what I mean by mentality adjuster. My Eba and stuff like that, just to bring out to adjust the mentality and return value to themes of Africa. And that's why the ulogging type of content is modeled as such to allow you.
Right. One second, guys. Hit the like button. And I see a lot of people who are appreciating the content. If you have not hit the
Oh,
like
thank
button,
you very
please
much.
hit the like button.
I'm
Yeah,
not
and then
even
we're
looking at
gonna
it.
go for about another 30 minutes.
Okay.
But Terry, you're always welcome. We
Oh,
could run back,
thank you.
come back tomorrow. But guys, hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to Terry's YouTube page, UloggersTV as well. So
Thank you.
yeah, so go ahead.
I'm not able to look at the chat for now. I'll look at it a bit later. So I
Okay.
don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So a mentality adjusting element is important. That's why I noticed that for us to overtake Google, surpass Google, basically, you need content. Words are there's no innovation today that is not word. You have to document it. The entire any innovation you pick, there is a certain paper that defines every element of it. There's always a paper and it's based on words. Even programming language are all words. So I noticed that to be able to tackle the reach industry, that is reach, how much we can reach people, you need to dominate the content space. But to dominate the content space, you cannot use blog or a vlog to do so. You have to create a content base that is African centric, one that doesn't have that perfection element, that allows the Agberos to shine as expressively as they can. I got that from insight from, after a lot, like starting from Uloggers Untalented. I told you that I did an experiment with Untalented. And when I did that experiment, there were, on the first post alone, it's a competition. I started it to introduce the tag. There were 2,000 participants. And the barrier to content creation was removed, because not everyone, if you pick the populace of Nigeria, let's say 100,000 people, and you say how many people are confident as bloggers amongst the 100,000, you will struggle to find 10,000 that can come out and say, I'm a blogger. But you loggers, we can take the whole 100,000, because now that perfection element is not there. You are allowed to reveal your innermost spirit ever refreshingly, because each content you create has to be freshly made and underlinedly will not resource existing material. And to be able to adjust people's mentality to adopting that form of content, we have to create a social media platform that will put them within that, not cagey, but will direct them to accomplishing that. Now, to introduce that fully, I'm not jumping in straight. I've done all the case studies. When I started Ulogs, hashtag Ulog, there were 5,000 participants within a few months, 50,000 posts, 179,000 comments. And that was just a case study with a tag. Now, when I did Untalented, the tag grew beyond measure. Then I transitioned to Ulog. It was adopted. Then I noticed the freelancing space. How do you create a freelancing ecosystem that gives ownership to Africans and is the same model? Allow everyone to participate. So I allowed for both experts and non-experts to participate. And then when you allow for that, you suddenly see that you can effect even a free economy. How is that possible? Because the mentality adjusting element is, irrespective of your literacy level or your expertise level, offer a service. But it will be known that you are not yet an expert. And we will admonish that you provide that service even for free. Your gain is not exactly financial. Your gain is to hone your expertise. People that avail your service, they will know that you can provide that service for free, that you are not an expert. They will know before they avail. But to take it to another level, I brought in the gig against gig economy, trade by barter that is African oriented, into the system. And you disrupt the space suddenly, and you empower Africans. Suddenly, I don't know how to do graphic design, but I can code. Why can't I offer my coding expertise to you while you offer your graphic design to me? I don't think that there is a freelancing platform that has affected that. Now, my point is, if you create any innovation that is truly African, you will have no competition, irrespective of the industry. But to take things further, that platform is also going to curate. You remember earlier that there is an element of content that has been relegated over time, but is one of the most important aspects of content, and it is curation. Crypto brought that to the fore. Curation is finding content and then publicizing it, like voting on content before they become popular. So crypto gave prominence to that because many crypto platforms now reward curators. So that is why if Dynast published, no, or me, that I don't have any followers, I published on a platform like Steemit, I can get a viral content. The reason is because curators are now incentivized by vote to publicize my content if they see value in it. So I brought that element into the gig economy, and it plays out perfectly where you now autonomously empower even people that didn't know that they could offer a service. What do? You give them a resume portal where the questionnaire there is not the conventional questionnaire. It's intended to have them express their innermost capabilities. So you capture even their interests, their hobbies, and then you try to hone that by there's a system that I use there where there's autonomous growth, but you mentality adjust, you elevate the human, make them owner. Something that is missing in Africa is ownership. And that is the power of any innovation today. If you want Africans to hold sway, you put an ownership element. Now, crypto can allow you to implement that. But the problem is it has been dominated by the West to where Africans are deterred from participating. Let me give you an example. If you go on Steam or Hive, for example, they have their own blockchain. And you look at all the top nodes on, even though it's a peer-to-peer space, you don't need third-party authorization to run a node. It will shock you that when you go there, if you look at the top 50 nodes, you will not see any African. When I was running a node on the Hive blockchain, I was the only African that's even like top 100. I was the only African on one such blockchain that could get to above top 50. And there's a reason for that. The reason is the same, however glorious the blockchain ecosystem is, there's that element of Africans not dominating. And the reason is the same things that we have mentioned. When it comes to innovation, we don't create innovations that have African ideals. They just have the African surface. So, and you cannot compete innovation for innovation if you making use of their ideals all over again. Because on the basis of those ideals, you will bash your brother. If you are to run a blacklist again, you will be bashing your brother. Anytime somebody attacks you, when an African knows that if somebody slaps you, in Africa, if somebody slaps you, there are multiple reactions possible. You may not retaliate because maybe this person, you feel that he has potential, or your spirit says no, or he's the son of a police, or he may become a king tomorrow, or he may introduce you to your breakthrough tomorrow. There are tons of possibilities, but we don't implement those things, dynamics into our innovation. We just replicate what exists that we know. We adopt all the ideals of the West. Suddenly your paper is a white paper. The paper that defines your project is a white paper, guaranteed. If you pick most African innovations today, they have a white paper, and if you pick any innovation, there are people that contact me. They want me to give them advisory on formulating their projects. And once I see their site, their website, I know that they are Africans. How do I know they're Africans? Not only in the, because that's my gift. I really paid attention to Nigeria, and I've used the internet a lot, just the way they compose stuff. And, Africans in general are competitive, ambitious, and, these things show. And, but the major thing there that you'll used to know is they will make use of pictures of the light skinned. They're not even confident enough to use their pictures. The people that scam on Telegram, I always talk to them and they always have a change of heart just in one conversation, because I know that they are scamming, because you're not even confident. You want to pull off a scam and you're not even confident of your identity. It's always an Oyibo man's picture so uh, the major thing is a mentality adjuster. But the only way to adjust mentality is the same way that Facebook has done it. You need to put a tool, an African oriented tool, in the hands of Africans. And how do you do that? By us joining together and creating such, and then for me, let's say Dynas creates his own platform. In the future, when my own platform starts, my own power is Ulogs. I'll approach Dynas and say, okay, why not have a tab on your platform called Ulogs? And then we will rank content from that tab on our search engine. So that is like that is basically the solution. The solution is building applications, because that's the way to reach the masses. You build applications. They will be using these applications, but they will not subconsciously, in the course of using these applications, they will be adjusting. Their mentality will be adjusting. These applications allow for more expression. It's not too curvy, not too cagey, so that there is revelations. When you cage content, it has to be perfect grammar. There will be no revelation. So nobody will write in a blog that his backyard is made of mud, is a mud house. Nobody is going to write that in a blog, because they feel that the standards of a blog has to paraphrase a Mark Zuckerberg or a yes. So that's me. That's for me. And I'm still in the building process. The battles to building has been very rigorous. So anyone that wants to contact me, very soon I'll start launching and all that. You want to give insight and all that, you can always contact me. And if you also want to build your own and you want additional insights, I can always share that. And now we've only talked of one aspect of innovation. There are tons of them. Every industry has it.
Terry, let's do this. We can always do a part 2. So we can always come back on tomorrow and do a part 2, but we need to close out.
Okay.
Well, we can come back on tomorrow or Tuesday. Let's come back on to Tuesday and we can do a part 2. But what would you like to share?
Can you give me like 10 minutes?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I just wanted to look at the chat a bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because once the live stream ends, you cannot interact with the chat anymore. You cannot, and you can't even. Yes. Let me just look at the chat.
Okay,
that's complex. Many people would have to be involved. Okay, there's no need. These are many, so I'll just I'll just conclude by saying that very much on topic, excellent analysis. Okay, Dynas, please let me look at the chat. Just 2 minutes.
No, go ahead. No problem.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. I wasn't composed. I didn't expect to be here. I just came impromptu like that. So please bear with me in the way I delivered it. It may not be orderly, but thank you everyone for joining the stream. Yes, Boolean, yes or no. Please get my notebook, even though it's of crypto. I revealed many secrets there. The Boolean, very much so. And it applies to every industry. When you look at it critically, every innovation, however complex, has it. It's the language for bots. They use it for humans as well. And it's easier to analyze humans where I'm currently at. There are two. You can predict that if you came here 12 o'clock every day, the nation is divided into two. One is watching one particular, I can't remember the names, I don't watch TV, but there are two TV shows dividing the entirety of a particular nation every 12 o'clock per day. It's that predictable. Now, if you can predict an entire nation to that level, who are they? They are bound to be consumers. That's about it. There's no two ways about it, because that's the height of programming. The nation that I'm in, down to the handwriting, that's where you will know the power of Africans, and that greatness lies in Africans, in these very tiny details. In Africa, they'll need to spank you continuously for your handwriting to adjust, and it will not adjust. In the nation that I'm located in, which is in the Philippines currently, you can down to the handwriting has been that programmed. The handwriting is the same. If you find a Filipino in Nigeria today and you tell him to write on a piece of paper, if you find anyone, just give me and I'll show you. It's going to be the same as any Filipino, down to the handwriting. Is that level of that is the height of, this is beyond culture and all that, it's deep stuff. So yes, so let me just quickly round up. Thank you, Audrey. Yes, there's a lot of reasons to this. I did a lot of a lot of hassle, but in the face of my hassle, I didn't look for leisure or a way to satisfy impulse of happiness and all that. I had to go through with it fully to the highest extent to understand it and dominate it. And that's where the revelations came from. So after I do a level of these battles, then the insight will come. So the notebook, I didn't research the internet. I wrote everything fresh. It just took 5 days, so stuff like that. Okay, so Dynast, are you in Lagos? Run my paper. No, sorry. I love learning the resources. It's very nice to learn. Drug of consumerism. The reason why we can have this discussion right now is because of the iPhone, and Google owns YouTube. Yes, Google owns everything. Google even owns Android. And you know something? They I have a particular Android Dynast that just stopped functioning basically. Even Google, your YouTube, sometimes they will bar your YouTube, and you have no choice but to restore it using an Android device. Sometimes I have to use my TV because it has an Android software,
Right.
because it won't bring the code to my iPhone. So there's always that element we talked about, even in the programming language, that competition element that is not one of unity. It's always there, and but there's something to conclude. Let me say this: cryptocurrency is the way to. There's no way you can accomplish this without blockchain technology. If you really want to dominate, there is no way. That there's a reason I'm in crypto, and that's the reason, because I find out that in this world, this system of things, you can't dominate Google through Google. You can't use the Android, the YouTube, to dominate Google. And like I mentioned, your channel, for example, now if it was another industry, it would have blossomed, to high levels. But so you need to use, either you create your own blockchain, and that's what I'll encourage. That's another thing. There is no African blockchain. There there are some applications, building. But one of the things I want to build, it not now though, but on my list of things to build is a blockchain. So a blockchain that replicates the systems in Africa. Governance is not just based on vote or on vote. I want to capture your ideal, your essence, and bring about and on that basis reveal more things about the power of Africa. Because like I said, greatness is in Africa. Now we have an avenue to reveal these things using tech, using innovation. So when it comes to a blockchain, the reward distribution model in my project, my reward distribution model is called proof of tiers. And it's something of Africa. I want to reward each tier, but tier not associated with sadness as the world deems it to be, but associated with human evolution. So I said, en route evolving your human to limitless levels, there is bound to be many tiers. Happy, sad, or unfelt tiers.
Terry, brother, like I said, we could do a part 2.
Yes.
But
I'm concluding. I'm concluding. Only 1 minute more.
Okay.
Happy, sad, or unfelt tears. The unfelt tears is revelation. Again, the world has tied tears in the premise of sad or happy. And happy, they sell you a product saying pursuit of happiness, drink your beer, and anyway. But there's unfelt tears. Many Africans know this. It's not tears of joy. It looks like tears of joy, but it's not tears of joy. So that's a revelation element. So that's my reward distribution model. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Dynast. I very much value this.
And Terry, we'll have you back on Tuesday.
Yes.
So Tuesday,
you can get my notebook on Amazon.
Yeah, get the book. I have the book. Show the book.
Yes. You can just type in the topic of it. I believe you will find it. Or just go to UloggersTV and under any video, you will find it. And if you want to learn about crypto in 3 hours, I'm also offering that service. 3 hours, if you want to learn about crypto, it's just $50. Check out the information about that underneath any video of my channel.
Yes, sir. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Enjoy your Sunday. Me and Terry, we will be back on tomorrow or Tuesday. Until next time, family, Dynast Search for Uhuru. Peace.
Dynast, bye-bye.